Welcome back to another installment of Catching Up with Corrin. Today I am joined by Randall's head volleyball coach, Karli Morrison, and we are on the Tuesday before the start of the 2025 Texas high school volleyball season. If that isn't music to your ears, then you were listening to the wrong playlist because we are volleyball lovers over here. I hope we're off to a good start. The picture behind us, I think, brought some feelings up. We'll get to that, but we're going to look first to year 2 for you as a Randall Raider. How are you feeling heading into it all?
We had a really good off-season. It was a hard off-season through strength and running and playing lots of volleyball and skills and just working on, I would say, just the game itself and just our attitude. The big thing that we focused on this off-season was servant leadership, and so did a lot of going out into the community and serving and going to like City Church and Transformation Park and High Plains Children, and so it's just all these different things that my girls got to be a part of to realize how great our life really is and that volleyball's, you know, only a small part of it. So.
And sometimes that's hard to realize when you're in the thick of it all. So that's really good to bring them that perspective, especially at a young age. And hopefully by this time next week, we will know who the 2025 Randall Raiders will be.
Yeah,
It'll be Tuesday. We should know. Friday's the big day, though. It's when everything gets started. So what's in store for your girls? I haven't been in the competition realm in a while, so I know a lot has changed with two-a-days, tryouts, team camps. What do you have in store for them?
We just had team camp last week. It went really well. We also had spring league that we hosted this year for the first year. I don't even remember how many teams, but it was crazy the amount of teams that we had that would come and play 2 games a night, and it was good for our girls. We split up, you know, kids that had worked hard and got to play in the JV and varsity league, and so it was fun for my kids to be able to see kind of the blossoming of what we had been planning and working on in off season. And so spring league was fun. We got to play Amarillo High, which I know you know them.
Yes, absolutely.
Got to see Tascosa, which is going to be a great matchup for them this year in district. I'm excited to watch that game if we get to go to it. So just lots of good volleyball, you know, around the Panhandle and getting to see some good teams and good competition.
Looking at last season, one of the biggest games of the year in this area that we got to see was Canyon Randall Regional Championship game at the Box. I mean, that place was rocking with CISD fans, volleyball lovers. It was so much fun to watch. And then the other biggest game of the year for Randall specifically, you guys, was that state championship game against Wimberley, where you guys fell 3-5 or 3-2 in a 5-set match. How often do you think about that Wimberley game?
Probably every day. It's something that I've kind of had to let go of because that's moving forward. This isn't the same team, and so we've been working on ourselves more than anything, and knowing that you've got to battle just as hard for the person next to you as for yourself, and putting others above yourself. There's power in pouring into other people. You know, we talk about filling each other's cups, and so have I personally let go of it? No, I have things hung up in my office that's a reminder every single day. Even the GMS coach that came in last week was like, I'm surprised you have your trophies in here. And I said, oh, it's not a bragging. It's a reminder of we've got to finish. And so even with Lady Raider Camp, you know, going for gold and different things of trying to get these younger kids starting at kindergarten, you know, dreaming of winning a state championship. And so off-season's been good. We have a really great group of kids that are returning. So it's exciting to kind of see what's going to happen. I mean, my life is up to teenagers, so that's a scary thing.
That is kind of a scary thing if you word it that way.
Yeah.
Your life is up to teenagers, but teenagers are also resilient and they're passionate about what they do. This has to have put a chip on their shoulder in the off season. How have you seen it fuel them in workouts and in practice and in team bonding moments? I know you have that whiteboard where you write inspirational messages and quotes on there. How have you seen it fuel them?
You know, I think a lot of people have seen how close this year is between choosing your varsity to JV, even to freshmen. And, you know, one of the parents was like, how are you ever going to choose? And I was like, it's not just me that has to decide this. You know, I have 9 girls that are returning. Yep. And I even told him the other day, I was like, I have 9 girls and they deserve me to choose the best and for us to be able to go back to where we finished and to be able to finish, you know, what we left undone. And so, you know, adding those, you know, 4, 5, 6 kids to that roster, I'm not just carrying myself on that or my coaching staff. It's also those 9 girls that want to go back. And so I've got to add people that are going to, you know, add to that dream of what we're trying to do. So.
Your coaching motto that you live by is everyone wants to win until they realize how many losses it takes. Do you have that written on a whiteboard somewhere? Have your girls seen that and know that this is how we roll?
I really don't have that written anywhere. It's more of a quote that I just kind of have had to get over, I would say, as a head coach, just because you can come in as the 4th ranked team and beat the 1 team. You can come in as the 1 team and get beat by the 4th team. So just a lot of losses. Everybody thinks that, getting to the state championship was just, a luck of the draw, and I had great seniors, which I did, but that's lots of years and, lots of parents and lots of kids that we've gotten to be a part of. And for that, I would say we each kind of came up with our own motto with the 9 girls that I have returning. And so for me, I think a lot of it was letting go, because I felt like officiating in our game was a huge factor. And I had to come to the terms of letting it go, no excuses. We lost that game. And so, moving forward in that, and we've got to, like one of my girls' motto is every ball is yours. And so everybody has their role of what we're trying to do. And so for moving forward, I think just realizing it's a different team, but still moving forward in the fact of we're still trying to carry of what happened last year.
Yeah. This is a different team. You lost 4 seniors last year, the heart and soul of this team. But the upside is, because I like to look at the positive, you have 9 returners, girls who if they were on this sophomore team, or if they were on this team when they were sophomores as seniors now, they're vetted at the state meet or at the state tournament. They know what it takes. They have the experience. They know the grit. What does that advantage present to you guys as you enter into this new season?
It wasn't just us 3 coaches that had to suffer that loss. It was those 9 other girls too. And so I think for this going to be senior class of 5 of them, they've always kind of been hidden in the shadows by that other senior class. And so I think this is kind of their chance to lead in a way that what their gifts are and how they do things. And so for them to kind of have that leadership role and be able to carry a little bit more on their shoulders, but also having some juniors in there, that can add to it. And we have some pretty good freshmen coming up, and sophomores, and all of these things of all season and all summer, kids have brought into the process. We've had really high numbers at summer workouts, and, everybody's gotten stronger, everybody's gotten faster, and, people have noticed just how much stronger some of my girls have gotten, how much more ripped they've gotten.
Wow.
And so, even the kid rolled her ankle last week and she didn't die and tear ligaments, and I was like, welcome to off season, where we work on things like that. So it's been fun to see, them falling in love with the weight room and just falling in love with the process of, if you want to hit a ball harder, you got to be stronger. If you want to run faster, you got to be stronger. And so starting there and then just kind of building upon that, had some really good people pour into that. One of our coaches at Randall has helped along with that, one of our football coaches, but also just having good people around you. These kids having good parents that have poured into them. Has been a big part of it. Parents letting me do my job as the head coach and let me coach these kids hard, because that's how it happens. And so they let me do my job and let me push these kids forward to where we need to go.
That's always a relief as a coach, being
Yes.
able to do your job. Sydney Soria, anybody who watched your team last year could see that she was the vocal leader, the energizer, the one that would rally people together. She was also the impact player and a core piece of that offense. And now she is playing at North Texas. We wish her nothing but the best. Who do you feel will be able to step in and fill those shoes? Or are there a couple players that you see being able to take over that role that she had last year?
For Sydney, one, I loved that she was cutthroat. That kid was one of the most competitive kids that I've ever coached, but also just her leadership was amazing. But I also think that these girls have got to realize that they don't have to be Sydney, and that they don't have to walk in the same shoes that she walked in. Whatever your gifts are as a leader, with these 5 seniors, it may be 1 to 2 of them, and finding who's going to be that voice and who's going to be that one that's holding them accountable. We want Sydney to do well at UNT. We want her to succeed because she represents, us as Randall, but at the same time, I also think some of these kids learning from the leadership from last year and what happened in that state game and what buckled as far as some things went, learning from that and learning from the mistakes. Because it's on them too. Yep. And so, stepping forward in that to try to be better from the learning experience of being up 2 and then getting swept in the back 3.
And what do you think the biggest lesson learned in that is for them? And have you seen them processing that in the off season?
The seniors chose the theme seeds, which it means for us, they tried to bury us, but they didn't know we were seeds. And, a lot of people are probably going to count us out and who we are. Even a guy that bashed my kids on Twitter I'm not going to go on that tangent for very long, but I will for just a second. When our soccer girls who won state, which was awesome because they're history makers, and he tagged our volleyball girls in and slammed us for not winning state. And so to me, that was even like, it was a good moment in off season for us because it was kind of like, really? Like, y'all really haven't let this go still?
Yeah.
And so we really tried to pour into our soccer girls winning state because they played Wimberley. It was a great matchup. And so there was just things that, kind of spurred us along, just as a reminder to keep going forward and keep plugging and keep, battling every single day, keep chopping wood. So I would say there's just been some people that have made comments, whether it was tagged on social media, or people say it to your face, whatever it may be, and sometimes you just gotta, I always say you get kicked in the teeth and then you just gotta keep moving on. So a lot of those girls have, we quit talking about it at a point and we're like, okay, it happened, now we've gotta move forward.
Wow. That's a powerful perspective to have. We have no room for hate around here. You guys are incredible. But I will say, when you said that the team theme this year is seeds, I got chills. I got goosebumps. I've never heard that before. How did you come up with it? Whose idea was that?
I pulled the seniors in, we did exit meetings in December, and so we just talked to them as a whole of what they wanted this year to be and what they want going forward. I mean, even our bracelets even say it. So they want to, they know they're the underdogs. They know, we're not stupid. They know that people think that those seniors carried it, and they did. I mean, those seniors were great seniors. But at the same time, I don't think they know the power of Randall. That guy with the bow tie mentioned that, you are Randall. Yeah, we are Randall. We don't play for Randall. We are Randall. Yeah. And so the whole community of Randall has backed us, and supported us. Even in the spring with our basketball teams, everybody shows up for everybody, and showing up for the soccer girls. And so to me, that's more power in a program than anything. Having an administration that backs you is huge. Of having, an AD that's not doing things behind my back, or having a principal that shows up. I mean, he came to our team camp 2 days last week, being involved, being a part of our program, not just, because I was thinking the other day, like, if it ever comes down to if I ever get a state medal and if we win gold this year, I'm going to give that state medal to one of our principals, because it's like they're a part of that too. Yes, they're not on the court, but they're a part of our team and they pour into our kids. Teachers pour into our kids. It's a community at Randall. It's the best place I've ever coached. I had one guy walk up to me and slam me for my superintendent, and people don't understand that it's a family. So when you attack one of us, you kind of attack all of us. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's a big thing that Randall has as far as going forward is you mess with one of us, you kind of get all of us. And so I would say that's the big thing for us with seeds is like they're trying to count us out because of everything, but Randall's used to being counted out. I mean, that's just kind of their motto. So.
Wow. How does it feel to be part of a program and an organization where you're united and you have each other's backs, not only just with your team, but everybody around you?
I'm not going to tell you that it's what I call rainbows and butterflies at all times. I do work with teenage girls, and they are emotional at points, and we've had some learning moments and some tough moments. And so, but I think the big thing is like, for us, realizing a lot of people didn't go through what we went through, and getting there and being up 2-0, that's a huge thing. But I also think they don't realize what that can do to your future and what it can do. Even if we don't make it back to state, what we've done as a program and the culture that the girls have built, this year is a testament to what they want to continue to build. I mean, one of our team camp coaches was talking about pour into those younger kids, pour into those 7th and 8th graders. You want to be, he's like, this is one of the best cultures I've been at. And he's like, because of, I travel all over the United States and being here in the culture and these kids, he's like, you got something special, not because of the volleyball. And so I think just pouring into that and continue to pour into the culture, and that's not just me as a coach. That's my coaching staff with me. That's, administration. That's the coaches before me, with Haley and with Culpepper, being a part of that. It's not just one person that is able to make everything. So
that's awesome. When asked about your team's biggest competitor, your response was ourselves. Depending on how you look at that, it can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing because you know yourself well enough to be able to fix the problems. Bad thing is you're always with yourself, so you can't have this revolving door of opponents. How do you limit that this year?
I think just controlling the things that we're in charge of. So effort, energy, leadership, hustle, all of the things that it don't have to do with, the skills itself. Just making sure that we come in with a purpose. Even if we're only practicing an hour and a half, make sure our mind is present in that hour and a half, and making sure that we're getting better in that hour and a half, whatever it may be. But I just think for us as a program, just realizing we have a gift that's ahead of us. District is no joke. Every game anybody can beat you, and
especially in your district.
Yeah. So
it's
you've got to show up, and so I think we're going to have a deeper bench working on different things this year to where we can kind of sub some things. We're going to be young in some ways, but I also think that there's a part of them that have grown as a person and as a girl and as a woman this off season to where being able to handle the tough better, being able to have a little bit more grit in what we do.
And the best time to be able to work through these things is preseason tournaments. Glen Rose, you've got the Westwood tournament, Round Rock, the Randall Showcase. This is a time where you find your team's identity, but with the amount of girls coming back, you know who you are. So what is the goal during the preseason for you guys?
I've read 3 books on leadership this off season, and one of the quotes that I got, which I thought was funny, is like, winning is a deodorant and it covers up the stink sometimes of your own program.
Wow.
And so, which is so true, because a lot of times when you win or when you lose, it can kind of show you where you're at. If you're winning, you think, oh, everything's great. And then the next game you can just get, kicked. And it's like, oh, just kidding. And so I just think for our preseason, everything kind of has a purpose. We're playing some different teams. We finally have some home games in preseason this year for the first time ever, it feels like. But it's just, for me, it's like every game in preseason is to get us to where we want to go down the road. It's not going to be perfect. There's going to be struggles. I use the quote, it talks about that when David was appointed as king, it wasn't like he was just given the crown. He had to overcome Goliath. He had to overcome all these different obstacles of hard things. And I actually wrote that as one of our quotes for two-a-days of, it's not automatically just going to be given the gold medal around your neck. You're going to have some battles. You're going to have some hard stuff. You're going to have to fight off some different people. But at the end, the ultimate goal is to have that. But there's also going to be some struggles and trials along the way.
I like that analogy. I think we could all use that analogy from time to time. I'm not even in volleyball anymore, and I definitely could use that analogy. First official home game, August 19th against Midland High. You don't want to miss this one, you guys. You don't want to miss this season with the Lady Randall Raiders. They've got a lot in store. Coach Morrison, I appreciate you coming in, talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We've moved forward, clean slate, but with the chip on our shoulder. More to come from you guys, absolutely. I'm excited for it. Absolutely.
Excited.
Yep. And more to come from us covering Randall volleyball this season. There's going to be a lot of it. In the meantime, we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you next time on Catching Up with Corrin.